All right, we are back, and we got this week's featured fighter of the week, number 4 or number 5, Mr. Lyndon Eli Hawkins. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. It's an honor.
Yeah, so it's been an honor having you fight here, man. I know we're like the same age. I'm a little might be a little older than you, but I look up to you, man. And it's awesome that you're still in the game, doing what you're doing. Incredible shape, you know, getting in here representing all of us that are in our 40s.
Yeah, I guess I appreciate that.
Not only are you representing Morgantown, West Virginia, you are representing everybody in their 40s. Let's go,
Right.
generation,
Yeah.
40s generation. So you are here at NLC. You've got a 5-2 record. You've been here since NLC 1. Your debut that show was a little weird. We didn't have a lot of people, and you ended up jumping in with a 3-0 guy for your debut. Put on a heck of a fight. That dude, Dustin Looney, he was pretty good, man. When he hasn't fought since then,
Mm-hmm.
but the dude is incredible. Heck of a boxer, really good wrestler. But yeah, you jumped in and did that one, and then yeah, man, you've just like been on a tear, and we've had times it's been hard to match you up. People are like, I'm not fighting that guy.
I'm
But what's it? So tell me a little bit about the journey, man. Like going back to your debut up through now.
man. Ups and downs. I'm exactly halfway. I'm exactly 50. I'm 5-5 overall. So I try to take tough fights, and I think my record kind of shows that a little bit. I think the toughest fights I had were definitely in the second column for sure. Some of my fights that I won, I think, were a little. Some of those tests I just didn't pass, but that's I didn't get into it to like just smash people. I got in it to test myself, and that's really what it all amounted to, is just seeing if you can overcome that you know the anxiety, the nervousness of it. I'm probably, without a doubt, I don't want to say probably, I'm absolutely my worst enemy. Nobody can get in my head like me. So I thought maybe I should try to conquer that as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I really set out to do. That's really it. I'm not really ever doing it for like anybody else. A lot of people, it makes them nervous. My family's not super thrilled about it. They've seen me lose pretty good. They've seen me win a couple times pretty good. Um, it makes them nervous, and I totally understand that. I wouldn't want to watch one of them go and put themselves in that situation, and people try to hurt them, but it don't hurt too bad.
You come back from it. They can't eat you. The referee's not going to let them eat you.
Yeah, man, it's pretty safe on it. I mean, I've injuries and stuff, and I've had one-sided losses here and there. So far, I've come back from those. I think that really shows a lot about who you are. If you go, well, I take a beating pretty good. I take losses fairly well. It's not that I like it, but part of me is like, I was born to lose. I'm just doing what I was born to do a couple of those times, but I try to overcome that thought, because it's there.
It's tough, man, going into these fights. And that was, I don't know, man. With me, I guess I was always so prideful, and I was just scared to lose. I was like, it's going to be the embarrassment of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be scared to death going into fight. I don't care if I'm fighting a 90-year-old grandma. I mean, she's got a puncher's chance. And I go into these fights like that. Even my last fight, I was like, like 99 times out of 100, I win this fight.
Yeah.
But like, he could catch me. And it hasn't happened yet. I guess I'm retired, so it's not going to happen. But unless somebody cuts me off in traffic and I get out, and then they just catch me with a hook, put me out, I don't know. I guess it could still happen.
I saw that last
But
look pretty good to me.
I could still do, if we can keep the round like 30-second rounds, do like 10 30-second rounds, I can still do it.
10 30-second round. That's good, man.
30 seconds, and then go get a 60 seconds on the stool break.
It's still 6.
Yeah. Yeah, you still get the full minute break.
Man, you might have.
You got to keep the heart attack at bay somehow.
Yeah, you might have something there.
Yeah, it's gonna be the new sport. Like it's gonna be like more like football. You get that 30-second burst,
Last.
and then you go back. You got the play clock comes back up. All right, you got 45 seconds. We'll do that. 45-second play clock. Coach gonna be like, all right, you're gonna come out, you're gonna throw the 2-3-2, then shoot for the takedown, slam them, 3 hammer fists. All right, then we're back to the plate, back in the huddle. Yeah, round 1 is on the feet. Round 2 is blue corner on top. Round 3, red corner on top. Yeah.
Take the average.
Yeah, it's a new sport, man. I'm going to look into that.
I think you have a genius idea.
Yeah, shoot. I don't know, man. I got a lot going up there that's doesn't always make sense. Hey, there's so something we were talking about the other day. A lot of people know you as the fighter, the coach. That's like really the NLC fans. That's probably all they know. They don't know Eli. They don't know Lyndon, the musician. Is that tell us a little bit about the Eli, the musician here?
There were a lot of there was a time where there was like people who didn't really know that I did this. If you're playing music with a bunch of scene kids, being a tough guy or a jock or whatever, like doesn't really fly too much. Sometimes I always kind of looked up to Henry Rollins, guys like that who kind of very physical guy, but also a poet. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Like I like the idea of the Renaissance man coming up. I think I love like karate movies. I love like kung fu movies, like Van Damme, stuff like that too. But I really got into music growing up, big time. It's always been a big part of my life. When I was 8 years old, I was telling you, when I was 8, my grandfather said, if you're going to learn an instrument, what do you think you'd pick, And I was like, guitar, I talked about guitar a little bit. They bought me a miniature guitar. It was a real guitar, but it was like a miniature guitar, If I played it correctly, it didn't sound good, but it was enough to start.
Mm-hmm.
He had a friend of his, this born again Christian fella named Roy Ralston, and he's still around. He's still teaching. He would drive me to his house. First, he lived like just across the river. He had a place, just across the river. So he'd take me over to his place. But then he got rid of that spot, and then he just had his house. So I'd go out to his house, and my grandfather would take me every week. It was just me and him, And dude, that meant the absolute world to me. It still really does. He would take me, and we're real close. So yeah, I started playing guitar when I was 9, and it's always been a part of my life. Like I play music in general. I play a little piano too, and like do a little singing and stuff like that. Like write stuff. I usually write for myself. I don't really share it too much.
Mm-hmm.
Learn songs and stuff. It's a huge part of my life. And being like I don't know, a smart ass, a smart aleck, I don't know. I don't want to cuss too much on here and set a bad example, but being like a tall, wiry, maybe I should say tall, skinny, smart ass dude who plays guitar. Sure enough, defending myself started to come up. And I had 2 younger brothers, and my brothers are both tough, man. There were a lot of times where I hit my growth spurt way ahead of them, and I was tall enough to ride the rides, but didn't quite want to ride the rides. And these 2 are like, I want to ride, and they're like, well, you're not big enough yet. They weren't afraid of going on the rides and stuff, and I'm like, are you crazy, But they're both actually in the military. My middle brother, I'm the oldest of 3. My middle brother's in the Army, retired, and my youngest brother's in the Navy, retired. So yeah, we it was early on where I was like, you should be able to do both. You should be able to like write some poetry and have like an artistic side and be able to express that, and also be physical. You should be able to dig holes, change tires, shoot guns, and also, be able to string some sentences together that don't sound silly, and some that sound silly too, but
Absolutely.
as much as possible. So I like the idea. As soon as I heard that was an option early on in my childhood, I kind of, and like through my teen years, I kind of wanted to be an actor, because I thought, man, I'd like to kind of be a fireman and a police officer and, like a bank robber too, and I'm like, I could just be an actor, and for like a couple months, maybe I could play one of those things at a time and just be all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And then in college, I kind of found out there's other stuff they ask actors to do sometimes that I didn't really want to do too much.
Yeah.
No, I was a theater kid. I had a bunch of different hats I tried to wear. Just not great at anything. You know, pretty bad at a bunch of different things. That's kind of how I turned out. But
I'm okay at everything, just
yeah,
not great at any of it.
yeah, I can embarrass myself at quite a few different things. But that's kind of how it was. You know, in bands and stuff, I carry a lot of equipment. And while the other guys are like talking to girls and stuff, I'll be like,
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, because it comes in handy being physical. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I like both aspects of it. Well, both of those aspects, and they're both important to me. And I started to really see, like, man, you know, like Johnny Cage says, "Let's dance," and then gets down. You know what I mean? And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
like moving your feet, moving your body rhythmically with good timing. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what boxing is too, you know? And so I incorporate a lot of that. There's obviously a lot of rhythm, breaking the rhythm and, in fighting. Seeing the connection between things that seemingly have no connection is a big deal too. And I think you only get that from like the Renaissance style of like thinking, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, and then I guess with that kind of thinking, you couldn't just stick with boxing, couldn't just do jujitsu. You got to do it all.
Yeah.
Like a Renaissance man of martial arts.
And that's MMA, you know? I mean, lots of different things, you know, growing up, like we didn't, like I said before, it wasn't like the internet or UFC or any of that. I grew up before we had a TV that would go clack, 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 clack. And
Yeah.
that was funny because really got like two of those channels.
Yeah. 3, 8, and 13.
Yeah, man. One of them's like you. I don't even know why one was you, but a zenith or a quasar, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you had to like stand next to it and put your hand on it or smack the side of it to get it to work. Uh,
Yep.
like
Turn the antenna a little bit.
Yeah, man, antennas, and we don't even radios anymore. But the thing that you could see, like that I could see that I knew was real, is like I was watching boxing, and every once in a while you might catch like some kickboxing or something like that, like
Mm-hmm.
kickboxing. But like one thing that you knew was real was boxing. I like some of the pro wrestling and stuff because that was a good era for it. But something about it, I was like, I'm a silly child, but there's no way that this guy is actually, there's something going on here where they're not actually like slamming this guy onto his spine. I think one of those
Mm-hmm.
and you're dead, unless there's something I'm not getting and this guy's just got some sort of, maybe he's a superhero, maybe that exists, but something about it was like I knew they were really doing it. You knew that you can't fake that you're jumping off stuff and everything. But then I was like, well, yeah, but in movies they do that, and I know Van Damme really smashing Bolo in the face with boots on and stuff. Those guys have to be friends, or they're going to be in another movie together, like. But boxing, I know sometimes it was fixed too, because that's just how it is. I mean, as long as you get two guys who are goofy enough to get in there and fight each other for money, there's going to be people taking advantage of it. But I knew that was real. So I thought fighting must be like punching and kicking and like striking, But then like I knew kids were wrestling and stuff. I didn't really know what that was. I didn't really know what it was. I was always felt like I was too skinny and I needed to like get muscular and stuff. And these guys were small, but they're walking through the hallways like spitting to lose weight. And I'm like, dude, I'm I'm trying to eat. I was told to eat everything in the container it came in because of my body style, and that's the only way I'm going to gain weight. And I'm like, well, I don't know if wrestling is what I want to do then. But I realized like boxing I could do okay, and I had like a natural kind of talent for it. My grandfather taught me a lot about boxing. He taught me how to hit the speed bag, and even as an old man, dude, he could hit the speed bag. I mean, impressively. He came from, of course, even another different time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like, like kind of playing around with your friends and stuff, you can't really play like punching them. too much. But you know, wrestle and somebody's like big cousin would come in and be like, "Y'all to wrestle that guy," and you're like, "Okay," and then he'd get a hold of you, and I'm like, "Dude, I will die here. I'm not giving up." But
Mm-hmm.
so kind of need. I don't know what to do. Like you know, yeah, it was one of those situations where we were like the deer who get their horns stuck together. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like, well, what do you do? What is you know? We try to start learning about it, but there weren't places to go for that. And then around 2007, a friend of mine named Justin asked me, he's like, "Hey man, this guy, he's pretty cool. He's pretty crazy. He's at his house. He's teaching people jujitsu and like some MMA stuff. He's like, you should go with me, dude. I swear, I think you'd like it." And it turns out I did like it a lot. It was awesome, and that dude like taught me like really fast. The way he taught, I really connected with it, and I became like hooked on it. You know, I try to get everyone
Mm-hmm.
to do it. And then, of course, you know, it's like, hey, let's do some jujitsu. And they're like, yeah, I like the UFC. Let's do it. What do we do? Where do we start? I'm like, okay, well, so you lay down on your back and open your legs. And they're like, why are you
Wait
trying
a minute.
to do this?
What are we doing here?
Like, it's really cool, man. Just try it. I promise. And they're like, yeah, haha, okay, you know.
Yeah.
So, but then, so I went to a bunch of different places. I went out to Grafton, to Dragon's Den. I went to a bunch of these different gyms here and there. And I was waiting tables. Actually, I think I had I had been promoted from waitress to a bartender actually at the time. And I don't mind saying it, but there was this girl that worked there that I did not like very much. I know that she was pretty. I know that, but that's not like enough to be friends with a person, you know. And I always say I have shallow Hal's disease. I don't know if you know shallow Hal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Oh, Jack Black.
yeah, it's cool if you're really pretty and everything, but if you treat everybody like crap and you kind of have a horrible personality, like that's kind of what I see, you know. And I'm married. Like I've been with my wife. We're going on 15 years of being married now. All right, so that none of that matters to me, you know. Like you should, especially if you're beautiful, you should be nice to people, you know. She was pretty awful, but I feel bad. Uh, I don't think she'll ever watch this, and
No, she's not gonna see it.
I am sorry to her. I'm not trying to talk bad about her, but I am saying bad stuff, but it's just true stuff. So she had a boyfriend who would come and sit at the bar, and I'm like, there is no way that that guy is cool. He's with her. There's no way
Mm-hmm.
cool because she sucks. But he actually was really cool. He was a really cool guy, and she's like, he likes fighting. You guys should be friends. He likes fighting, and I'm like, okay, yeah. My dogs. Hey, Norm, over here, buddy. Norm. Sorry, dude. I didn't.
Norm, don't eat the rabbit.
Norm, don't eat the rabbit, man. Yeah. I think he's to go downstairs, but the door's shut. Anyway, this guy comes over and sits at the bar, and he's talking to me, and he's like, totally cool. And he's like, yeah, I train at Ground Zero, man. You should come there and train sometime. And I'm like, I've heard of that place. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'll definitely come. And he's like, I'm getting ready for a fight. And I'm like, cool. And he's like, yeah, my first MMA fight, my amateur MMA fight. It's my debut. I'm getting ready for a fight, so I'm training pretty hard. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome, man. He's a little guy.
Mm-hmm.
No, you know, he's just smaller. That's cool. So he's getting pumped, training hard for his fight. He's a pretty good wrestler, you know. And so he has his fight, and he comes back, and it was a hard fight, man. He got busted up a little bit. He got his nose cracked like right away. So the thing with this fight, the reason I'm telling you about it is this guy shows up and he hears that the guy he's fighting is a pretty good wrestler. I believe I'm getting this right. I know I got the last detail right, but they think he's a pretty good wrestler, but they show up and he's like cracking pads, like crisp.
Mm-hmm.
Because it turns out he is a really good wrestler, but he's also like a super experienced, like 60 fights deep amateur boxer too. So it turned out to be a really hard fight for that guy's debut. and some of us have been there. That's how it is.
Mm-hmm.
A hard fight for somebody. Turns out his first fight was against Cody Garbrandt. And I don't think he lost again until he's like challenging for the title. So
Yeah.
I always tell people like, hey man, we do what we can. Try hard to make it a pretty fair match, because sometimes you'd be like, oh, this guy's a little green and he's got like 30
Yeah.
fights. Sometimes your debut is going to be, not that great, not that challenging of a fight. Sometimes it's going to be kind of a tough guy, and sometimes it's going to be Cody Garbrandt. What do you? What?
You never know. You never know.
Yeah, man.
I mean, as a promoter, matchmaker, sometimes people come to me and like, yeah, I got this guy. He's a debut. He's green. Just started grappling 3 months ago, and I Google him or whatever. Don't really find much, and then they leave out the fact, yeah, he was a USA boxing national champion, or he has like 50 underground kickboxing matches in Indiana where they don't track anything,
Yeah, man.
stuff like that, and it's luckily, like, I'll tell you what, if I ever send something to Colin, you can't get anything past him. And I'm not trying to, but I'll have somebody say, yeah, this guy has this experience. I sent it to Colin. Like, I can't find anything. Somehow Colin comes back and he's got videos and like he's got everything. He's like, yeah, I got all this stuff, man. Like you said, this guy was a debut and training in 3 months. Here he is, 12 years ago in a national championship boxing tournament. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Definitely left that out.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you do what you can, and you can't, know everything, and that's not really
Yeah.
the way necessarily, but you do try to, and you do a good job of making it a fair fight, and you also will be honest about what you do know. You're not hiding anything, because that's
Mm-hmm.
it's hard enough to get the guys to show up on fight day sometimes anyway. Stuff happens, but yeah, it does help if you do try to do a little bit of research and know, something.
Yeah. But yeah, like I'd say it's tough right now. We have 2 events in March, and both events have 20 fights on the card right now. So we're looking at 80 fighters, and that's hard to. And this isn't my full time gig, so it's really tough to really look into all these guys. So I kind of do like a very basic. So I look more into amateurs with the pros. With the pros or with guys that have really experienced coaches, I don't do as much digging because I know they're going to.
Yeah,
So I'll get some basics on somebody, send them to Colin. I know he's going to look them up. Sean Stefanik, he's going to look them up. Rob Nickerson, these guys, all these good coaches, you send them a name, they're going to find some stuff. And I'll usually let them know, like, hey, I have a guy's name. I really don't know a lot, but I know you're going to look him up. Just let me know. This isn't an official fight offer, but I have a guy that is a potential opponent. Let me know what you think.
yeah,
That's how a lot of that goes. I have to be really careful when I'm dealing with matching these guys that kind of came up the way I did, training in their own garage, or they don't even have a garage. Hey man, I've been rolling with my buddy in the backyard. So you got to be really careful. So when I'm matching guys like that, like I'm very, very careful. If I don't have video of somebody or something, I'm like, yeah, we're not matching this up. Send me a video of you hitting a bag or something.
hey,
So
my I know he's got another fight too. Props to him for sticking with it. I know he's just almost a month older than me, but Richard Dorton,
mm-hmm.
he had a couple of like redneck brawl fights that we could watch, but some of the videos so old and grainy that it's,
Yeah.
and then there's a lot that's not. I mean, that guy's been fighting for so long that he didn't even keep track of fights anywhere when
Yeah.
for like the bulk of his fights. But I like that, like 10-1. I think about that, man. Like my opponents stacked up W's and L's, they have a huge winning, like over losses. I look at that. I don't really want guys who like fight once and never fought again. Like, well, I'm not really in that category anymore. I got no business being there. But there are guys who are like, like, hey, I'm 3-0. Hey, I'm 4-0, and it's like, dude, the guy that you fought almost didn't get off work in time to get there, and he showed up
Mm-hmm.
like on his own and like left on his own and stuff. Like
Yeah.
that's not really like I straight up don't count those. Like that's cool.
Yeah.
Beat up a bum. Like not that exciting. And people really want to keep that 0. And it's like, I got that out of the way real fast.
Right off the bat, fighting you're fighting a 3-0 guy, so you're trying to give him his first, get rid of his little goose egg there.
He was a man.
Yeah.
Friends looked at him and I'm like, please don't fight that guy.
Yeah, I was the same. My debut, my opponent was 4-0, but he was 4-0 against like 4 other people that don't train, and I don't think he trained either because we got in there and his striking was terrible.
Yeah.
He had no jiu-jitsu and no wrestling, but he was 4-0, and he was over here talking about going pro, and I just wrecked him, and I don't even know the guy's name. I never caught his name. They didn't keep win-loss records. I didn't know who I was fighting. I had no clue who I was fighting. I just knew they had me matched up, and I got in the cage, and I didn't know who I was fighting until I saw him walking out, and it was interesting. The man had a very hairy chest. I don't know who to compare it to. Like George the Animal Steel. He had more than that.
No, man.
But one thing he had that you don't have is he shaved a racing stripe down his. He had a straight up racing stripe shaved all the way down.
I could straight make a wig for you out of this. This is ridiculous.
Oh God, yeah, okay.
It's
like so light colored it doesn't.
light colored, and
Yeah.
I guess that's okay. But dude, the hair on my head is starting to rebel and just form all over. I'm like a wolf type bear person or something. Maybe I shouldn't say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's embrace it, man. Just start shaving that thing off.
Yeah.
Actually, I got my little thing right here. This was a gift from my wife.
Yeah.
I had it over here. I had it over here with me, charging it. So back to 100% now.
I was shaving it for a while and doing the, the mustache and stuff. I had stuff cut off my head. I got hit with a bat. It was an accident. I told my parents it was an accident because it was my middle brother, and he about white as a sheet when he realized he got me with it. But it busted an artery, and this was when I was like 12, and I formed this like cyst, so I had to get it cut off. I started shaving my head and doing the mustache for a while, and then they made that Nosferatu movie, and they didn't even call me first to ask me if that was cool to use my likeness. Man, it's just wow. Pennywise too.
Is that Nosferatu? Is that the new one?
Yeah.
Did that just come out?
Yeah.
I haven't even seen a preview of that, but I've been hearing people talk about it.
Yeah, it's that Bill Skarsgård guy who kind of like looks like he could be my little brother, but that's okay. That's cool. Whatever.
Yeah. Got my dog over here now. I don't know what he wants.
I think mine chilled out. I've got to keep an ear out in case he goes over there and I hear like.
Mine came over here and he knocked my heater over and left. So I don't.
Respect.
That's what he's good for. He's an old man now.
Yeah.
He's our age. He's like 70.
I say.
How old are you, buddy? 14, 15? No, he'll be 15 this year.
Oh, my guy's going to be.
He'll be 15 in November.
Yeah, I say I'm taking the old man for a run. That's what I say. He don't run too much anymore, but he'll still walk with me and stuff and patrol the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yep.
Keeping the place safe.
Yeah.
Pepperoni. I bet he's wanting some pepperoni. It's just out of my reach. I'll get you some here in a second. But
my guy and I got to patrol the streets. We chased down a naked guy once. It was pretty cool. Weird.
Well, I was about to ask if it was a certain guy from your gym, but no.
No, it wasn't a guy. My daughter heard something outside. She's like, comes downstairs. It's late at night. It's like 10 o'clock. I knew it was 10 o'clock. And I had just sat down. And she's like, did you hear that? And I'm like, what? And she's like, it sounded like somebody screaming, help me, help me. And I just got up and started walking towards like the back of the house where the alley is. I was like, where did you hear it? She's like, out back. I was like, who was it? Like who? Like what kind of person? She's like, it was like a kid or a lady. I don't know. And I'm like, I took my dog out. I'm looking down one side. I'm looking down the other side. It's dark. It's garbage night too. And so, like, I'm just like, this ain't enough. I live a block away from my grandmother. So I said, let's go. We'll do our patrol. This isn't where we started patrol, but this is why we still do it. So I walked around the neighborhood a little bit, and I walked over to my grandmother's house because there's some shady people who live around us. There's some good families and stuff too, so I want to make sure to look out for people if I can, you know. And well, I didn't look like anything was going on there, so we finished our lap, and we're coming up by the middle school down where I live because I live pretty close to a middle school and a church, and there's this cool hill up from the middle school. I could show you the video of like where it is and everything, but there's this grass hill, and he likes grass still. It's a little hard on him to run on the street, but he likes grass.
Mm-hmm.
We sprint up this hill towards the street, and I can see there's no cars, and so it's nighttime. I'm like, let's go across. Let's just keep going and not even stop. Go across the street, and I get up across the street, and there's these the Cunninghams. They're some of my neighbors. I've been there forever. I've been in their house a few times, like when I'm growing up for church and stuff. Between their garage and their house stands a naked old man who is as tall as the garage. And we get up across the street, and I'm like, whoa! And I'm thinking, the first thing I'm thinking is, it's garbage night. This guy is old, and he's got one more bag to take to the trash. And he's like, I don't give a damn. I got what I got. And then I'm like, that is not what's happening, because
Mm-hmm.
he goes and like creepily just goes back in. And I'm like, whoa, hey, partner, are you okay? Are you okay? And I call my wife, and I'm like, I found him. I found what that was. There is someone out there.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it's a real tall, naked guy. He's old. And I was like, and she's like, sweetheart, you need to call the police. And I was like, I think I will do that. And I was just then he starts coming towards me again. And I'm like, easy, partner, easy. And I hung up the phone. So she's like, well, he's dead. She doesn't, so she starts,
Yeah.
and I call the cops. I call the police, I should say. And I went around to the front of these people's house. I don't know what this has to do with fighting, but I was ready to fight the guy. But I go around to the front of the house, and there's four people sitting there chatting. And I'm thinking, oh no, Uncle Lester got out, and they don't realize it yet. So I say, hey, I'm sorry to bother you all, but is everyone in your party accounted for? And they're looking at me like, who is this guy with this giant wolf? Because my dog's big. He's pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a like 120 pounds at the time, German Shepherd. But they're like, what? And I was like, okay, there's a big naked guy in your backyard. Do you know who that is? And they're like, whoa, no, no. And the young lady, I have a gun, and I'm going to get it, and this is what it's for. And I'm like, please don't go back there. I don't know who he is. I've
Yeah.
police. So he takes off running, and I lost him because I was staying with those people. And the police get there. There's two of them. There's a tall, skinny black kid and a short white kid. So the first fella starts taking off like down this way, and the shorter guy goes, I think I'm gonna walk with this guy and his dog. And we start walking down this alley towards my grandmother's house, because I was like, I'm going to my grandmother's house. I'm gonna stay there and make sure he doesn't go there. And I look, my man is like talking in his shoulder, and like looking with the flashlight over this way, and I'm looking the other way, and I look beside this shed, and this dude is like, just staring at me. And I'm like, there he is. He's right there. Let's get him. So he takes off in a weird, like, drug addled type of slow motion. And I'm just chasing him through the yard. And I'm like, please stop, man. I can hear him getting tangled up and stuff. And I'm like, please stop. I'm not going to try to hurt you. You're making it hard. I could get you right now. I could catch you right now and just take you to the ground. Like, just stop running. So little cop comes up, bulldogging headlock, drags him to the ground, tackle this naked man. He got shoes on, so I know one thing. He knows a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah.
Cop comes around, he's like, where is he? And I was like, he's right here. He's down. And I was like, guys, he's got nothing on him. And the guy's like, shit. And he's just like looking at me like, and I'm like, hey, dude, like, I'm
Yeah.
going to let you touch me. So we stopped the crazy naked man. And I think that Probably shouldn't have met. I think that's an ongoing like case or something. I don't know, but I didn't say his name. I don't know his name. How about that?
Yeah, yeah.
We don't.
How long ago was this?
This is like a few. This is about a year ago now, almost. Like
Okay.
almost been a year now. So yeah, we. It's he's 100. He's 100% in police chases. He's retired 100%. He nailed the guy. We tracked him down,
Hmm.
and the neighborhood is safe. So don't take your clothes off and run around my neighborhood. I'll track you down. I'll get you.
Eli and the wolf will get you.
Yeah, man. I've probably he's probably like, darn,
Hmm.
I was looking for, but
Almost had him.
yeah, yeah,
It wasn't for Shaggy and Scooby.
pretty much, man, pretty much.
These meddling kids.
That's about how it was. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
exhilarating. Yeah, we got him.
one for one.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how we got here, man.
just dog stuff,
I
man.
don't know. Yeah, anytime I start a conversation, it just goes. It just goes off. And yeah,
Dude.
dog stuff, dog stories.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think I have any cool dog stories. My dog's pretty cool, but I mean he's escaped a few times, and I don't know. I don't think I have any cool stories with him like that. But he's still got some time left in him.
yeah,
There's plenty of naked people out there to chase,
dude.
especially around here in the city.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's not a great story. It's maybe an interesting, but I don't think anybody envies me.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, that's Norm Macdonald.
North McDonald.
Norman McDonald. I was
Yeah.
huge. I am a huge uh Norm Macdonald fan. Like he's one of my.
Hmm.
I think of it like that, and weird. I don't know. It's weird, but
I
yeah,
like Norm.
yeah. I love Norm, man. He's a cool guy.
Was it? He had some cool. Was it Dirty Deeds? I think was one of his movies. What was it? Dirty Work, or what was it? He had some good stuff, man. I liked him on SNL. Norm is yeah, definitely one of my all time favorites.
Oh yeah, man. Solid.
Yeah. So so here we are. We're in 2025, and Eli is in his 40s now. And so what are you thinking? For the future of your fight career. I've been trying to nudge you to go pro, and what are you thinking? What's the future hold for you?
It's interesting. My son is 17. He's going to graduate this year. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Like I'm really proud of that guy. It's incredible to see him. I still look at him. He's a big guy. He's bigger than me, but I still see that face of him coming up, giving me unsolicited hugs as a baby. You know, staying up late and singing Journey and stuff. There was a time
Hmm.
my kids like they couldn't go to sleep unless they had a hold of my ear, or like laying there. And then they trained me. And there was a time that it got to the point where I couldn't go to sleep unless they were right there. Because then you wake up, you're like, oh, okay, they're.
Yeah. Yeah.
But both of them, my son and daughter, both. But then they got big, and now they don't really cuddle anymore. Now Norm cuddles with me, so that's cool. But my son's going to graduate high school this year, and my daughter is going to be 16 in less than a month. Um, Also, I have a little bit of an injury right now that I'm kind of trying to straighten out and everything. For at least for the time being, I feel like I'm kind of on the shelf. I'm trying to rehabilitate a little bit. I want to be there as much as I can with them. It's hard training and running a gym and trying to still be a husband and a father. Actually, what I mean is it's hard to be like a husband and a father and also try to train and run a gym.
Yeah.
That's really the way that it is. But it sucks sometimes because not only are they kind of feel it the first way, and I understand it. They kind of feel like, oh man, are you still, you still got time to hang out with us, like stuff. And then you're gonna go and you're gonna do this thing that makes them very nervous. and possibly like get hurt again. You know, like you've been hurt a couple times recently. I got busted up in a fight against Josh Vasoki. I hope I'm not saying the guy's name wrong. He was real sweet. All my opponents, even when they just beat my ass, have been really respectful. You know,
Yeah.
once or twice they've tried to say afterwards that it ain't no thing, but in the moment they were like, dude, they were so thrilled that it was over and they were actually able to win. They were all respectful.
Yeah.
That's really that's awesome, you know. But I wanted to make sure that I could come back from that. That was not great. That was a really tough time for me. Um, it was the beginning of a really really for me, and I had taken that fight, and I don't like backing out of stuff. Probably shouldn't have been in it, but that was last March, and you know I had my grandfather starting to be real sick and go downhill like right around that time. I pretty much had no business being in there, and then he passed away in the summertime, and I'm like, I can't let that be. I can't let that be. I got to
Hmm.
and everything, and even in this last fight, you know, like I didn't get touched. You know, like it was flawless victory. Like, but you know, my wife's watching it. She's like, I think I just don't really like watching you fight. Like it makes me uncomfortable, you know. And like I said, I totally get that. But I definitely want to be there as much as possible with them, especially with my injury the way that it is right now, working through it. The immediate future is unclear. I was very blessed, man. Like I I'm very blessed with the physical attributes and the people that I love who love me. That means the world to me, you know. And so for now, that's really my focus. Try to heal myself a little bit.
Hmm.
Try to spend this precious time with my family as much as possible as they, you know, start to be more and more independent and then leave us, you know, with the empty nest syndrome. But that's really kind of like the future now. I'm still training. I love training. I don't think people realize like, and some people just don't do it. But like you training 100 to 1, that's the time that you're in. Like
Hmm.
2.5 minutes or something like that. We train for a lot longer than 2.5 minutes. You know.
Yeah.
So that's my thing, man. I mean, it would be. I always think it would be awesome. You know, I have like a boxing title that I had on the shelf still. I love that. I like fighting a lot. I love fighting. And I know someday I have to be done, you know, like
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know exactly what the future holds for me in that case, but I'm trying to get my body to be correct or at least, you know, 70% or something like that. I've
Yeah.
taken fights where I really messed up and I shouldn't have done it, but I was just thought that was like part of the challenge.
Yeah.
Well, nobody fights 100%. Like, dude, you're not passing.
It's one. It's one of those things is when you're a coach, you pull your fighter out of the fight.
Yeah.
You when it's you, you're like, no, I'm going. I signed up for this. When have I ever been 100% in a fight? But you're one of your athletes, and when you're handling somebody else, like no, like hey man, we got to get you healed up. Like this is not going to be good. You go in here with a hurt neck, something bad's going to happen. You're not going to have any head movement. Yeah,
And somebody,
something bad's going to happen there. Yeah,
yeah.
but then you're like, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, man. And that's like, I had no, I didn't really have self preservation as much as I do like looking out for other people. Like growing up with my brothers, you know, like
Hmm.
I was probably scared a lot of times where it was like, if it's just me, but like if I'm going with my brother or something, like one of my little brothers, and we're going some, like I had no fear because there's no way I was going to let something happen to them. Me, I'd probably get beat bad, but you're probably going to mess with them. And that was like kind of like the kind of thing. Like I wouldn't if I knew about other people having some of the problems that I've had and gone in there anyway, I'd be like, just wait. You want to.
Hmm.
You're unhealthy. There's a difference between
Yeah.
and being unhealthy. But man, you get old and you think that window is gonna close, and it is gonna close, and you're like, shoot, man, I think I can do it. If
Yeah. Now or never, because I'm not getting any younger.
I win and nobody knew that I couldn't use my right arm, like it's gonna be
Yeah.
like don't do that. Yeah,
Yeah. If you're young, yeah, if you guys are young, take care of yourselves. If you're our age and you're like, I mean, you're still like, we're not that old
yeah,
in the grand scheme of things. We're old for a professional athlete. Like we go into a fight with a hurt shoulder. Like, yeah, all right, it's just a 6 minute fight, 8 minute fight, whatever. Now I can't help my wife carry groceries for the next 40 years.
yeah,
That could be a thing. But like with me, like I did that boxing match like what 3 years ago.
yeah.
39 years old. I hadn't really trained since 2008, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it. Fought on my own show. One of the dumbest things I ever did. Came out on top. I didn't train at all for it, and Rebecca didn't watch. My wife didn't watch. She doesn't like watching me fight anyway.
I know.
For her whole thing, she was like, She's like, I don't care if you lose, but she knows how bad my back is and my knee, both of my shoulder, I mean, basically I'm broken. She was like, I just can't. I don't want to see you get hurt, and then another thing is like, I got to work. So she didn't want to see me get hurt and then have to, not be able to help provide, for the family. But me, man, I got that warrior mentality, man. I just had to do it. And like, I would have told anybody else don't do it. Like, hey, man, like half your left leg doesn't even work. Like, you've got all this, spinal damage. Like, don't do it. But me, I'm like, all right, but it's me. I'll be okay.
Yeah,
I'll tell everybody else, don't do that.
yeah,
But me, I'm like, it's me. Who cares about me?
definitely.
So
That
I don't even care about me. Let's just do it.
that's how I think about it too.
Yeah.
You know, I used to take a couple punches in the fight just to make sure. I didn't want to be like, you got in the fight, like, no, you didn't. Be like, dude, look at my face. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
fight for this gym was August 28th, 2000. I fought this young kid, and I'd had my nose like bitten, busted up and stuff, but it never been officially broken. I think you can tell.
Yeah.
Right, it's forward, but the week of that fight, I had busted for broken for the first time, like one of these. Like it was
Mm.
uppercut. This kid named DJ, he was a terror, man. We used to have some hellacious, entertaining rounds where we just bust each other up. But he broke my nose bad the week of the fight, and I'm like, mm, mm, and my coach is like, well, and I'm like, so what does this mean? He's like, this means when you get touched, it's gonna bleed a lot. So I went out in like the first 10, it cracks me right in the nose, like viciously. And I'm like, it knocked me down. And it was like a knockdown, you know? Like it wasn't a slip. And I like hit the ground. And I'm like, well, poop, you guys. There's a lot of people who actually came to see me.
Yeah.
I told them that you might just want to check it out later, but they came to see me and I'm like, I better get up. Toughness is like my only thing. So I better get up. So my throat's filled with blood over and over again. And I'm like doing this,
Yeah.
filling my cheek with blood and just spitting it out while I'm looking at them. And people are like, oh, you could just hear the whole crowd like,
Yeah.
God. Second round, I got my stuff together. Third round, I came back and I knocked him down, and that was a serious knock.
Mm-hmm.
When I did that, I was conscious of it, and I was like, and spit all that blood in the air. That's what won me the fight, dude. That it had to.
Yeah.
People were like, yeah, Coach Phil, right here, Coach Phil Davis. Can you see that?
Yeah.
That's
Respect, integrity, honor. Phil Davis Jiu Jitsu.
that's Phil Davis Jiu Jitsu, man. That's a guy that we all look up to. He and I, owners of Ground Zero. He's filming it, and you can't see any of the stuff I'm saying because he's going, yeah, Eli, and everybody's cheering and stuff. But out of there, man, my wife is like crying, and I was like, I took it the wrong way. I'm like, you guys are crazy. This is nothing. Then it hits me, like
Yeah.
a lot of things hit me that day, I guess, but it hits me. I'm like, oh, bro, if she got busted up in front of me, I would lose my mind. the only sane person in the whole audience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everybody's cheering, and she's just,
Her
you
husband's
know,
like bleeding. She's like, "What the hell's going on?"
yeah,
We got better and better at, like, I don't think that was inappropriate on her part at all.
hmm,
I'm a, what? I knew what was going to happen. I was like, we're going to fight each other. We're going to try to hurt each other. But to me, it like just I didn't understand why she would be upset. I'm like, it didn't like make me uglier. Certainly,
yeah,
like it didn't really. You're not going to do too much worse.
yeah,
But then I was like, oh yeah, maybe she just doesn't like. She actually does care about me. I was like, oh okay, so she does care about me. That's cool. That's good. It's like that. That makes sense that she would not want to see me get smashed up
hmm,
like I won. She's like, I don't give a shit about that. Like you won because somebody said you won.
yeah,
You got your nose smashed in. You're bleeding everywhere. I didn't know that. She's a nurse. Respect to all the nurses, first responders,
hmm,
law enforcement, all those guys. And girls. But it's different. It's different when it's someone that you love.
hmm.
She cares about the people that she takes care of. I mean, she wears that stuff on her heart. It takes a lot. It takes comes from somewhere. But dude, seeing it's always different with people that you really love and care about.
Yeah, it would be tough for me watching her. If I was, I don't know if I could, or even thinking about my kids doing it. But I don't think I would like it. And my son is starting to take an interest to it. He's never really been into it. Like I mean, I've loved this stuff probably since I saw my first fighting movie as a kid. I mean, the first action movie I saw, I was like, yeah, I love this. This is awesome. And I saw a karate movie. I don't know if it was Van Damme, Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris. I don't know. I saw something, and then I was wanting to do some karate. My mom and dad put me in some karate. Yeah, just I don't know. But yeah, with my kids, like I'm kind of glad they're not into it like that.
Yeah,
But
books are good. Get into books. Get
yeah,
not
golf, bowling,
yeah,
darts.
yeah,
Just don't stand in the way of those darts.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, man. So that's it'd be like family first in my case. I got a big year for my family, and I'm
yeah,
really excited and scared to death. I want them
yeah.
prepared for the world that it's crazy and that's a different world than I grew up in, and I think that's every generation must say that. It doesn't not true, you know.
Yes, you definitely want to be there for your son in the coming months.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's sticking around, going to school close to home, or he's leaving the area. Yeah, you definitely want to need to be there with him. And that's gonna be me next year. Hopefully he decides to. Actually, I don't know what he wants to do, but yeah,
it's exciting, man.
I dread it. Yeah, it's exciting, but I dread it too. Dread the empty nest. I dread that. My daughter is just in seventh grade. He's in 11th, but yeah, definitely dreading that.
Yeah, yeah, and that's good. It means that you care, and that's what a beautiful thing to have. Your son's very lucky to have parents that love him and support him and care, and are like, what is he gonna do? That's like the goal.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah, yeah. Well, I believe we are at 1 hour into our 15-minute interview. It's turned into a podcast, I guess. Yeah, I believe I've ran out of things to talk about here. Might just be that I'm tired.
Yeah, I have that effect on.
But yeah. So any final shout outs here? Anything else that we forgot to go over before we call it?
Hey, Norman, call me lacking. All right, I see you. I saw you. I heard that. I told you I could hear it if he started to.
Yeah,
Yeah, he tried to get a hold of him. You know,
Norman,
I definitely there he is, Norm. I definitely,
the big old head.
I got to thank my wife. I got to thank my grandfather for teaching me um about being a man and about about fighting and about family. And I gotta think that he was the toughest guy like I ever heard of growing up. He would tell me his dad was real tough. Basically everybody before I was born knew was tough, and
Yeah,
they were really tough. They were way tougher.
had to be.
But then, like I told you, when we were kind of chatting, then I met my wife and we had two children, and I was like, that's the craziest, toughest thing I've ever heard of and seen in my life, dude. Like that's so. I definitely have my wife. She hard. She supports us. She deals with some stuff. Is super super heavy on a daily basis, and it's hard, man. She's a caring person, and it gets to you when you the stuff that she sees every day. Like I said, and my kids, I love so much. I wish I was more like them in a lot of ways. I think they're really beautiful people. I'm really proud of them for growing into the people that they are. I love sharing the gym with them. I know sometimes it's they still humor their old dad and stuff. And then I got to give a shout out, definitely, like I said, to Phil Davis, Colin Caprini, Clint Heinrich, Lee Keaton, Czar Parrish, Griffin Lee and Bruno, all the people at Ground Zero, man. Every single one of them. The kids class, all the kids in the kids class. Just had kids classes tonight, boxing and jiu-jitsu. Got a wonderful group of people there. It is a special place. I'm not a magician, like we talked about, but that place is magic. Uh,
Yeah,
and great people. Like our first kind of rule is become a quality training partner. Be as good as you can for as many other people around you. If you're really selfish, okay, what you want to do is be the best training partner that you can be to everyone else. Be as good for other people as you could possibly, and then that way they reciprocate, and you'll have a bunch of quality partners too. And if you take my mentality, which is like jujitsu is kind of like life, you take that out into the real world, and you see if you don't make the world around you a little bit better, it's a little bit better for all of us, man. If you're good, try to be a good person as good as you can, and try to be a positive influence, um, and try to do your best. You're gonna come back to you. Even if you want to be selfish, man, that's the way to do it. But I think the best way to be is probably selfless and try to stay humble, man. Try to stay humble and a good person, so that maybe other people will like follow that a little bit, or maybe you'll just attract the right people. Ground Zero is that place, man. It is a real deal. Play around. I mean, we have a good time, but there's two things about people who train at Ground Zero. Number one is they're good people, they're decent people. We don't really talk anything but that. Pretty easy, but you gotta have respect. You gotta give respect. And number two, train for real. So it's a good reason to be friends with Ground Zero people, because they're you got to be decent. You got to be a good person inside and outside of the gym. That's everywhere. And number two, you we know what to do with people. We want to share with everybody. Everybody should get their blue belt in jiu-jitsu. We want everybody who doesn't train with us to come and get their blue belt in jiu-jitsu from us. I think if everybody was able to do that, the world would improve at least 1%. All along, all the first responders, all the military, all those people, thank you all so much for taking care of us. Come and train with us. If you're in our area or you're passing through our area, you need to be training with us. You need to be familiar with how to protect yourself, right? As well as I do. Like you start training, it improves your life. The shout out, the ranting shout out. Sorry, take up all your time.
oh, you're good. You're good. So if anybody out there wants to join up, how can they do so?
Check us out on you know Facebook, Instagram. I'll put the number out there. You can call the gym phone. It's 304-282-89. 36. All come in, stop by, check it out, try it out. We'll have you fill out the waiver. We'll have you come in and try out some classes. We want to share that knowledge with you. We've been around officially since 1996. So, we're going to be around for a long time too. And that's what we do every single day. We've got plenty of classes to check out. Come in, stop by, come and see the fine people. Come share this.
Shout out
Yeah.
to the Crypt Keeper,
Shout
Bobby Johnson. He's a veteran of Bobby Johnson is 2-0 in World Wars and everything else since then. He's undefeated.
straight up.
So,
That's this side right here. Oh, yeah,
yep.
you probably see.
Yeah, the roses.
Yeah, that's a deluxe. That's a special edition. I'm gonna try to put some of that. I was just fooling around. I fool around sometimes on the old Adobe, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Get some inspiration from some Guns N' Roses there.
that's right.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for coming on, man. Everybody, if anybody other than Joe Perry stuck around this long to watch us, we appreciate you. Well, I'll have to get some shorter clips from this posted. We're at a minute, or we're at an hour and 8 minutes.
I hope
So
you use, man. Thank you, man. Actually, shout out.
yeah,
Got that was my first MMA fight with you guys. You guys always put on a good show, and I've seen you bust your ass and be setting up stuff before people get there. You're tearing stuff down afterwards. We don't do any of this without you guys. I always thank the commission. I always thank the girls taking tickets, the people at the concession stand. Those people make it possible, man. Those are the real heroes. It's not just the guys up there; it's the people who are behind the scenes, man. And shout out to, I believe it's Rob Raymond.
oh yeah, photographer.
All right, so I cut weight last time, and it's kind of like a bitch, and I was like, I need something pink to drink, man. I got to get something to drink, and my legs are all cramping up and stuff. And
Yeah,
like just real tight. They were like, I think he wants you to take pictures. And I was like, oh yeah? Well, tell him I'm not doing that. Okay? Because I can't do that right now. And they're like, come on, man, just you'll be fine. Just take some pictures. I was like, dude, I didn't come down here to take pictures. I didn't even know that guy was gonna be here. I don't like having my picture taken. And Colin's like, okay, well, you need to calm down and just take pictures. I apologize. That dude's really good photographer. Shout out to him. There's nothing personal, man. I'm not a but
rough cut. Yeah, yeah. That's like me after like 2 weeks or like a week of not drinking any Mountain Dews. I'm losing my mind.
dude, yeah. Like, oh man, that dude worked hard. He showed up to take pictures. I didn't do the pic, but I'm
Yeah.
a guy. He got a bunch of good pictures. He's a good photographer. Like, you should follow that guy for sure. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
say that. I was really like, I apologize, crying that
That's
I
right.
drank.
Rob Raymond Photography.
Dude,
Follow him.
he's good, man. Follow him definitely.
We've had a lot of good photographers here. Yeah, Rick Pittman. He's been here since NLC 3. I've had JB Brown. I mean, I had one guy fill in for Rick one time. His name is not coming up to me right now. He worked one of our Bridgeport shows. In fact, we've had some good people.
They're all good.
So
Got
yeah,
good thing. I'm so appreciative. Thank you. Thanks for this opportunity too, man. It's an honor to do this. Appreciate it.
yeah. Well, yeah, I appreciate it, man, and all you guys, and you guys were one of the first like legit MMA gyms to really give us a shot and send fighters to me. In the beginning, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just having a good time and trying to do my thing, and it was a mess. The NLC one, I look back. A lot of people tell me like, man, that was an incredible show. I'm like, dude, that was a shit show. It was a mess. We started so late. We didn't know how to build this cage. We bought it, and it was a pile of metal and wood, and we were in there till like 6 a.m. the day before, or the day at 6 a.m. on Saturday, putting it up. Came back. I think we finished the final touches on it at like right at 7:30. The commission wouldn't let us do day before weigh-in, so we did it all the day of. Then they were late, and then had a ton of fights. And it was I think our 7:30 event started at like 8:40. That was that was a disaster, and half of my helpers no showed. I was working concession. I was selling tickets. I was running the glove table. I was doing it all. It was that was rough. It's a lot better now. I have some good people.
It was a dream to me. I was exactly the style of stuff that I was like, yeah, this is exactly stuff for you know.
Yeah, it's how I always pictured it.
So I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. It was just I look back and get embarrassed at how poorly ran it was. A lot of it was like we had stuff planned, and when you get like 6 to 8 people that are doing specific jobs for you that no show, that really hurts.
Yeah,
So and that's what happened, and that was part of it. So,
it was good, man.
but yeah,
I have an idea
love it.
of how hard it is, but your dedication, man, your perseverance, your integrity, it's obviously the way to go, dude.
Yeah,
It's I'm glad you're still around doing it. It's awesome.
yeah. Fight day is easy now. I mean, it's a lot of hard work. Fight day is easy. It's the planning ahead of time stuff that gets to me now. And it was a lot easier when I was doing like 3 4 shows a year compared to like 10. And I'm trying to do a lot. You know, my goal is 24, but I don't have that much vacation time from work. So I get 3 weeks vacation, and I pretty much break all that up throughout the year, run it on these events, and occasionally take a Monday off after, if I've got one that's like 6 7 hours away, I'm like, all right, I'm taking Monday off too. I'll take off Friday, I'll take off Monday. So there's 2 of my vacation, 2 of my 15 days for the year right there. So that's how we do it, man. I've been doing it since started this thing in 2018. Our first 2 dates got pushed back, so we didn't have our first one until March of 19. But it's been a ride, man. It's been a real ride, and uh, invested a lot of time into it. But I knew what I was getting. I mean, I kind of knew what I was getting into. I could cut a lot of corners and make it a lot easier on myself, but I'm trying to really build something. So I love this stuff.
Man, I love the fact that you're doing it. It's been a pleasure and a privilege and an honor to be since they since the first one, man. You know
Yeah,
that I thought it was awesome. I was pumped when I stepped
yeah,
that play. It's Williamson, right?
oh yeah,
That when I stepped into,
yeah,
I was like, yeah, this is where it's supposed to go down. Like
yeah.
awesome. Bathroom,
It
two
was
stalls.
It was packed. I think you came to me before the show started, and you were up at the front door waiting because your wife was like way back in the line. I was like, "Go get her, just bring her in over here," because it was like pouring rain outside and people waiting in line to get in, and that was because the people I had helping with the ticket booth didn't show up.
Yeah, man.
So I had to go pull somebody from concession, and then I was helping too. So that's one reason our line built up because the people we had at the door didn't show up. They didn't even tell us they weren't coming.
No,
They just weren't there until we were like calling, "Hey, where you at?" Like, "Oh, I can't make it." You should have told us. We could have moved some things around. Yeah, that set us back there. So I was like, all right, let's go pull some people from concession, help with the door. And then they had a big wave hit concession. I'm like, and they were like, "Hey Keith, we're struggling, we're shorthanded." I'm like, "All right, I'll be right there." And then I went and ran. I was up there, making hot dogs and stuff. So that was quite a day.
that's
And
beautiful.
then
People
yeah, that was rough.
should know that. That's they don't see the training sometimes that goes in, and they don't see
Hmm.
that stuff that goes in. It just well, they'll
Yeah,
see you if something happens for sure. But man, it's it's only because of that, man. The heart of all those people, everybody who's setting up the mat, everybody who's pulling down the cage, all that, man. That the real
yeah.
go to them, I think. And you for sticking through it and putting up with all the stuff, dude. You got to put up with all the fighters, man.
It's tough. It's tough, man. I attribute my patience to me being too sleepy and too tired to get upset.
Okay,
So something bad happens, I'm just like,
yeah,
whatever. Uh,
that's a good.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you do roll with.
Like I'm too tired to do it. Like whatever.
Well, I mean, I know.
It happens.
I mean, you know, training for years. You know, you learn how to roll with the punches, and hey, this is
Yeah.
what we got. We're gonna make it work. You know,
Yeah.
all those years.
Somebody does something crazy, pisses me off. I'm like, whatever. We just won't bring him back.
Yeah,
That's that.
that's the good. It's kind of do it. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you do that.
Yeah. I love it, man. I love this stuff. Honestly, I love competition. I mean, I don't care. I could be sitting here running a volleyball league and loving it. You know, interviewing volleyball players or golf, whatever. You know, I don't care. You know, I just love the competition. That was something I was doing before I was promoting fights. I was putting on basketball tournaments, 3-on-3, 5-on-5. I was doing it all. And before I moved to Kentucky, I had actually started. I was starting a few things. I was starting a youth flag football league. I was creating a adult semi-professional basketball league, and that was a lot further along in the planning than the flag football was. We were looking at. I was talking to some people about starting a wrestling promotion, but it wasn't going to be so much like your traditional wrestling. If you've seen, if you watch South Park, and there was an episode where they had their wrestling, and it was like more. It was like it would be all about the drama, like half an hour of drama and people arguing about, you know, you slept with my sister or my girl or whatever, and then they'll have like a 2-minute match. Like, I had all these plans. We were gonna corner the market on entertainment in Southern West Virginia. We were gonna do it all, but then mining industry fell apart. My wife and I moved away from the area for work, and there's a lot going on here, and they don't need any more entertainment here. There's tons of stuff going on. So,
That's cool.
like, all right, you know, I'm just going to abandon all those ideas, but I'm going to keep the fights going. So,
Yeah, man.
boom.
That's what it was, man. Nothing against, like flag football and basketball and stuff. I'm glad you picked
Yeah,
those wisely.
yeah. I don't know where this would have been if I was doing like all those different things, like how much time I would be devoting, and and also having to work too.
Yeah.
Everything would suffer. I know when I first started the company, I was coaching high school soccer, and that was I stepped away from that. Like everything was suffering because I was working. I was coaching my kids' sports teams. I'm working, doing a lot of stuff with them, being really trying to be really involved with the kids, coaching a high school soccer team, running NLC, and working a full time job, and it was a lot, and I missed some of that, man. But it was every minute of my life felt like a grind,
Yeah, dude.
and but like I know the soccer team was suffering because I took some of my time away from like planning practices. I used to plan every minute of a practice. Like we're doing this, I would have it all like detailed, and then it got my practices started getting a little more, like I'm just winging it. The NLC was suffering because I wasn't, I was working on everything else all the time, and the kid, then I was like, all right, I didn't have as much time. I had to quit coaching some of the youth stuff and like be the guy that's dropping the kids off at practice because I've got 100 other things to do.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was all suffering.
That
I had to give some stuff up. So it's probably a good thing I didn't start all the other stuff because NLC may have gone out of business back in the day. But yeah, we're still here. We're pushing, and I hope to be around for a long time. And hopefully, you guys just keep pumping out the fighters, keep bringing them, and you guys create the athletes. I'll give them a stage to perform on, and
beautiful.
keep making it happen.
I'm I'm thrilled to be associated with you in general, man. And again, like I try to stay humble and stuff. I don't really put myself out there too much, probably to a fault, but I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you like this and videotape it and send it out to the entire world. Or just Joe Perry, like I said. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man, it's really cool. Like, it's a good opportunity to highlight some of the awesome people, like you said, like Bobby, Jeremy Linville,
Mm-hmm.
all these great cats that we got at the gym, George Watson, all our,
I need to get Jeremy. Collins told me about him a few times. I need to get Jeremy a fight.
yeah,
Looking forward to seeing George. I know he boxed for us. I think he grapples too, right? Does it all. So, and then we got to get Bobby Johnson a few more fights before his 70th birthday
yeah.
or 80th. 80th.
He's
Hold on. World War One started. Was that 1910? How old? So he was 12 then.
12 and a
He
half.
was born in 1898.
Yeah,
So that puts Bobby, he's like 127, 128.
around there. So that's,
Pretty sure he's a vampire, but
well,
there's
yeah,
no proof.
I'd like to get whatever, if maybe he could bite me or some arm, and I'll get some of that.
If you're listening, Bobby.
Whatever that is, man, whatever that stuff is, guys got, I give that away. That's just something
Yeah.
gotta have, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got some real dogs up there. I mean that in the best
Yep.
way.
Yep.
All good people, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Yep. Well, I guess we're going to end it here. Eli, I appreciate you coming on, and looking forward to whatever the future holds for you, man. And it's been a cool week having you as the featured fighter of the week, and hope it's not the end, man. We hope we can get you in there another one. Get that kid, get that injury nursed up, get your son through graduation,
Yeah,
fight all the boys off your daughter, and there we go.
yeah, man.
Get you that pro fight I've been trying to try to get you to do.
That sounds really good.
Colin too. Colin, I know your back's broke and your hips, like you're so old, your hips are bad. Both your knees are blown out, but you got one more in you, Colin. Colin, the kickboxer. Does he grapple too?
He
A little
has
bit.
he has before. Let's just say that.
He has before.
Yeah, he has grappled.
Cool.
Done some grappling. Yeah, yeah.
All right, cool. Well, hey, again, everybody, thanks for watching, and we'll be back. Be back soon. I'm losing my voice. I'm losing my mind. Not my voice. I'm losing my mind. All right.
Thanks a
All
lot.
right. Thanks for watching, everybody.